This is not financial advice, not legal advice, for entertainment, educational purposes only, and anything I say is my opinion. Please don't make any financial decision based on anything I say in these videos. Listen, the SEC has charged 3 people from Dallas-Fort Worth with running a Ponzi scheme on a couple of people in the amount of $91 million, okay? And they're claiming that they took money from these individuals. They told them they would invest in buying bonds, and that they was going to pay them 3 to 6% a month. And of course, they used the money from the new investors to pay the old investors to keep the Ponzi scheme going. And while, of course, these people deserve to be locked up, they deserve to be in jail, they deserve to be indicted, I think that the SEC, even under this current administration, goes after the small criminals. And they allow the major criminals to escape. These guys allegedly stole $91 million. Affected, I think, 200 people. The bad actors running the Ponzi scheme on AMC, GME, and other stocks, their Ponzi scheme affects millions of people, not just in Dallas-Fort Worth, but in the United States of America and internationally. So if the SEC was really concerned about protecting the market, they wouldn't just be going after the small criminals. The money would be better off invested in going after the criminals whose criminality is affecting millions of everyday Americans. The fraud and corruption in the AMC, the GME, the MMTLP, the NWBO, the MULN plays is out of control. The evidence of the fraud and corruption is overwhelming. Yet somehow the SEC, the DOJ, the FBI is doing absolutely nothing. But once in a while, we see these articles where they are finding resources to go after the small, tiny criminals. But the criminals that are robbing retail investors, pension funds, and institutions that follow the rules, somehow, there's never any resources to go after them. They take our tax dollars, they do what they want with it, and then these criminals, they steal from us, and then they take a cut of that and they donate it to the politicians, and then the politicians put pressure on the regulatory agencies and the law enforcement agencies not to go after the real criminals. If the SEC and Paul Atkins said the new thing is for them to protect retail investors, you're not protecting retail investors by going after the tiny criminals. Okay? You protect retail investors by going after the big dogs, going to the head of the snake. Because the head of the snake are the ones that are stealing our future. Okay? The rules are bent in their favor, and they still have to break them in order to win. They created the rules. They created the rules of the stock market, and they have to break those rules in order to win. And the SEC knows what they're doing. The DOJ knows what they're doing. The FBI knows what they're doing, and they do absolutely nothing about it. They practice willful blindness to the fraud and corruption in the United States stock market. And once in a while, they go and get a small minnow. They go and arrest a minnow. They bring charges against a minnow to make it look like they're doing their job. But SEC, DOJ, FBI, if you really want to protect retail investors, you really want to protect the market, look into AMC, GME, MMTLP, MULN, and NWBO. There is overwhelming evidence of fraud and corruption. And based on everything I'm seeing, the only way we're going to get justice is when they run out of money, when the liquidity is gone, or these civil lawsuits get into the discovery phase and they have to start turning over that trading history and those blue sheets. When they do that, the SEC, the DOJ, and the FBI are going to be shamed into doing their job because the fraud and corruption is really out of control. Out of control. Anyway, please leave some comments. Tell me what you think. Do you think the SEC resources would be better spent going after the major criminals? Anyway, have a great day. God bless, and I appreciate y'all on this journey with me.